you may or may not know, because, I host a classical radio show, but I'm a huge, huge fan of jazz. I've been involved in different aspects of the jazz community here in Winnipeg ever since I came back in 2001. And one of the things when I came back to town that I was most excited about was this concert series called the Izzy Asper Jazz Performance Series. It wasn't called that back then, but it's called that now. And they were bringing in some world-class artists. And it's been going now, and it's they're about to announce their 2017-2018 season. And I can tell you that is one of the best venues in town to see a live show at the Bernie Theatre at the Rady Center. It's not a bad seat in the house. The acoustics are amazing, and you see these just international stars on the intimate stages there. So when I had the opportunity to invite Bev Aronovitch in, good morning, Bev.
Good morning, Michael.
Bev is the producer of the Izzy Asper Jazz Series. She's been involved there for a long time.
12 years.
12 years. So when I had the opportunity to bring you in to announce the new season, I jumped at the chance. So welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here for sure. So you've got one more show coming up this season, which we're going to hit on just towards the end of our conversation. But I really want to talk about some of these. Well, first of all, why don't you tell us just give us a bit of a history of this series for those people who may not be too familiar.
Well, it was started by the late Izzy Asper, obviously, and then when he passed away, I think there were a couple of interim years, and then I took it over, and I partner with Steve, the wonderful, the lovable Steve Kirby.
Yes,
and so we run this series together. He and I put our heads together and come up with what we think are great programs.
Well, it's not just that you think it, I think it, and so many other people think it as well. I mean, again, you bring in these stars, international stars, to be on the stage there for 2 or 3 performances,
it's
typically
amazing.
3 performances.
We are so lucky. Yes.
I know. I mean, these are guys that you'd pay big bucks to go see down in New York or LA or wherever, or touring the world.
Yes.
And they come to Winnipeg to perform in that great, great theater.
Yes, and the Asper Foundation are funding the series, and without them, we would be not able to run, obviously, but we also have an incredibly loyal fan base, if you call it, subscriber base, and they come back every year and subscribe, and so between the funding and the patronage, we're doing great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have 5 concerts coming up next year.
We do.
You have 5 concerts coming up next year. Now, they start in September.
Yes.
Run to November, and then they take a bit of a winter break. They head down south for the winter.
I know, and
which always makes me cry.
I know. A lot of our patrons say, well, why don't, can't you do something in the winter? But no, we've chosen that. We've programmed it that way for a reason, obviously, because a lot of people do leave town in the winter in Winnipeg. And there used to be, in the old days, there were like 10 concerts a year, 10 weekends. And that was too much, actually, believe it or not. So
no, it wasn't. Maybe too much for you, but if we're jazz fans,
it wasn't too much for me. Actually, I was a subscriber at that point.
You were a subscriber,
yeah.
Okay.
But just in terms of the business side of it, the formula didn't work. This formula does work.
Okay.
So.
Well, don't mess with the formula.
Right.
Keep bringing these great artists. And so you kick off the season in September. I'm just going to find my notes here. You're starting out with a young pianist. Now, this guy won't be a household name. Typically, people don't know who Christian Sands is. So tell us a little bit about Christian Sands and his band that he's bringing.
Yeah. Well, I heard about him actually, Steve brought me his name. I heard about him last year. He's, I think he's going to be the next McCoy Tyner. He's like at the very top of his field at the age of 27. So he started concertizing at 10 years old, and he's a monster player. He's very inventive. His technique is fantastic. Plus, he's very, very creative. And Christian McBride, the Grammy-winning, I can't speak to this morning, that's a hard one. Grammy-winning.
I'll help you with that one.
Grammy-winning bass player picked him, sort of hand-picked him, to be in his trio.
Pretty much out of school.
Out of
He grabbed
school,
them out of
yeah.
school after he just
So
graduated. Yeah.
He's just one of those huge talents that comes around every once in a while, and you want to grab him right at the beginning of his rise. And, and we're already too late because he's been taken on by a big agency now. So thankfully, I was able to sign him earlier than that because his price tag would have gone up beyond our means. So he's going to be amazing. People are going to love him, and it's straight ahead jazz,
stuff,
but with a young twist. So it's always very exciting to hear young players. They have a very different approach than the seasoned veterans. So
Is he bringing his own band with him?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And it's a quartet.
Yes.
Okay.
So I always like to include, up and coming call them rising star, whatever you want to call them. And it's always very exciting. Last year we had Alicia Olatuja as the rising star, and she's now again
risen. She has risen.
She's risen. Yes. So.
Well, I was at that show, and I have to tell you, that was like a 6 out of 5 stars.
Yeah. Well, so will these.
She left me. I just left smiling.
Yes, she's amazing.
Before we talk about the other artists, the one thing I want our listeners to realize is that you don't necessarily have to be a jazz fan to go to these shows. A lot of people get scared, when they hear about jazz. And to me, it's not just take away the, don't even call it anything. Just call it amazing music, because some of these artists, they cross boundaries.
Totally.
And it's just amazing musicianship and the connection with their audiences that all these people have, because you're so close to them.
Right.
It's top notch,
Yes, it's hard to break down that stereotype of what jazz is, but I also like to program. For example, this season is programmed beautifully that way, so that I don't only have straight ahead jazz, and I don't only have formulaic jazz that people know about. I try to break that down and provide a big variety of programming so that it
appeals to a broad audience.
Like this year, I purposely programmed a Latin group, and we're doing it at the West End Cultural Center. We've never
done a show
presented there before.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to bring in the Latino community. I'm hoping to bring in people who've never been to our series.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Pedrito Martinez group, which is the October show, and Pedrito Martinez, percussionist, singer.
I heard him in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. He's amazing. He's a brilliant, virtuoso conguero. And, the Cuban guys are amazing musicians. And he's been around for maybe 10, 15 years in New York. And he plays with everybody. He's played with all kinds of groups, not just his own. But this group is his own group, and they're all top notch, and I know it's going to be a party. I know it's going to be a great time.
Well, that's actually a great venue to have it in, because the Bernie Theater is an awesome venue.
Yes.
But it's mostly a sit-down venue.
Yes.
Right? And I think people could be able to get up at the West End Cultural Center.
We're going to have a dance floor.
You're going to have a dance floor?
Yes, we are.
Well, you can watch me dance. I'll probably be at that
All
one.
right. Well, so will I.
You'll be dancing at that one, too.
Absolutely. I love Latin music.
So, yeah, you've got the straight-ahead, not quite straight-ahead group kicking it off with Christian Sands. Pedrito Martinez is going to bring some Latin rhythms. And then in November, before you take a break, is an amazing jazz singer. Now, last year, or this year, I should say, you had Alicia Olatuja, who brought down the house. I mean, she had everybody in the palm of her hands.
Yes, she did.
This next singer, Renee Marie, who is coming, we play on our jazz show often, Jazz After 9. And Renee Marie, she's different than Alicia Olatuja. She's an amazing singer, but she kind of leans more towards funkier blues or kind of I don't know how you describe her
She's
stuff.
hard to put in any bag because she combines all kinds of genres in her music. But she's got such charisma and spirit and soul that the audiences go crazy for her. She's been nominated for a Grammy this year for her album, The Sound of Red, I think it's called.
Sound of Red, yeah.
Yes. And last year she got another Grammy nomination for her tribute to Eartha Kitt. So
she's due for a win.
She's due for a win.
She's due for a win. She deserves to win next time.
She does. I hope so. She's dynamite, and jazz, blues, folk, gospel. It's all in her music, with an amazing stage personality. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it falls within, as you say, a jazz series. But if people who like singers,
right,
it doesn't matter what kind of music you like.
Exactly.
If you like good, not good. If you like phenomenal singers, Renee Marie is going to be a show to see.
Yeah,
and I've got some lined up after we do this conversation. So I'll play a little example of what she's like, and also. After this conversation, I'm going to post a video to our website that she
she's
did.
Fun to watch too.
It's called the Tiny Desk Concert, NPR Tiny Desk Concert. And she's just amazing in her band. She bringing her band with her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. You're saying, of course.
Yes.
So then the series takes a break. Well, actually, I want to remind people that I'm talking with Bev Aronovitch. She's the producer of the Izzy Asper Jazz Performance Series. We're here to talk about the brand new season, 2017-2018 season. We've touched upon September, October, November, and then it takes a break. I know, shed a few tears, until April. Now, this group is coming back. The Clayton Brothers Quintet. Tell us about them.
Yes, this is their third appearance on our stage, so that tells you something.
Mm-hmm.
We love them. The audience goes crazy for them because they are so swinging.
Mm-hmm.
Like the concert is titled "The Masters of Swing," and John Clayton, who's the head of the band, it's his family. He and his brother Jeff and his son Gerald, who has a brilliant career of his own as a jazz pianist, he has his own group. And Terrell Stafford, great trumpet player. So it's a fabulous group, and it's a group that nobody will say, I don't like jazz, to.
Mm-hmm.
This is a group that hits square on every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw them last time they were in town.
Yeah.
And I love, obviously amazing musicians, Jeff and John.
Yeah,
and
John is like he's like the
people,
king.
the
king.
And interesting, people have probably heard him 1,000 times.
With other people, too.
Well, in particular, Diana Krall, right? He played with Diana Krall for a long time. He was her bass player, so people know Diana Krall, but her band doesn't often get recognition. Well, John was like very important in her band and helping her along in her career, John Clayton. So
yeah, and he's also got classical training. He was the resident jazz maven at the Los Angeles Philharmonic and another orchestra I can't remember. So he's a great arranger composer too. Yeah. So he's a mega guy.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be a good swinging show. And speaking of swinging shows, you wrap up the season with a really wild band.
This band
called the Hot Sardines, and that's in May at the Winnipeg Art Gallery.
Yeah, this is going to be, I just had such fun programming this band because, well, first of all, it's a very big group. I think it's the biggest group we've had on our stage. It's 8 people plus a tap dancer. So it's 19, 20, 30s, 40s hot jazz music, which has come back into fashion. And these guys are all over the world. They've been at the Montreal Jazz Festival a couple of times. They've been all over the world. They're very hot on the scene, and lots of fun. Sort of reminiscent of Paris, New Orleans, body, fun, good time band. I know it's going to be a great season closer, and it'll bring in people hopefully who've never been to our concerts.
Yeah, no, they just swing. I mean, and the lead singer is amazing too.
Yeah, she's a French.
She's an act in itself. She's an act in
exactly.
herself.
Yes. So yeah, I'm very excited about the season. I say that about every season, but this season in particular, all the stars fell into alignment, and I feel that it's the most balanced season that I've ever put together. So I'm really, really excited about it. And all the artists are at the very top, like Grammy nominees, people with tremendous reputations, and I'm so excited to see the audience reaction. And that's where I get my kicks, watching the audience groove on this stuff, and their standing ovations, and it's great. The artists love Winnipeg. They love our venue. They love our series. They love Winnipeggers.
What do they love about it?
I think Winnipeggers are a wonderful audience. I got back from Phoenix, and people, they don't stand up for standing ovations here. They're up on their feet right away. You know, it's a very receptive audience, very used to being entertained by great people.
So before we give people information about how to get tickets to this series, you got one more concert.
Yes.
Coming up, and I'm a huge if I had to choose one of my favorite artists of all time, it would be Ray Charles. I had the opportunity to see him in Toronto when I lived there.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
He was amazing. And he was fairly old.
Yeah.
But he would get up on stage, he'd play piano, he would play saxophone, he would stand up. He was just the consummate entertainer.
Wow.
And always supported by a phenomenal band. So last concert is a tribute to Ray Charles.
Yes, it
when
is.
When is it? April
15th, where there's 2 shows at the Winnipeg Art Gallery.
Yeah, it's coming up this
3:30 and
weekend.
8,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yes. It's going to be a fabulous show. Of course, the Steve Kirby and his Big Dig Band will be backing up. Craig Bailey, who is the Ray Charles alumni. He played with Ray Charles for, I think, 10 years or something like that. So he's got all these arrangements, which he is bringing. And then the singer / pianist that's doing Ray Charles, if you will, is a fellow named Wayne Holmes from the States. And he's done this show, not this exact show, but similar shows all over the U.S. So it's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So fans of jazz, fans of Ray Charles, fans of just great music.
Yeah.
It's going to be
fun. And there's 3 singers, too. 3 backup singers. So they're not the Raylettes.
Oh, the Raylettes.
The Winnipeg Raylettes.
The Winnipeg Raylettes. So, yeah, that sounds like an amazing show as well. And one thing to mention is that these shows almost always sell out.
Yes.
Honestly, there's rarely a ticket left to any shows.
Right.
As you said, there may be a couple left for this Ray Charles show.
I always encourage people to come to the box office because invariably season subscriptions, people can't come and they'll turn in their tickets, a day before, the last minute. And we always have a few tickets hanging around.
Yeah.
So I would always encourage
You can always fit
people,
a few people in.
Come because there's always unexpected tickets that show up.
So how do people get tickets to the series coming up?
That's the secret. No.
Let's hear it. Let's not make it a secret anymore.
Well, we don't go to Ticketmaster, so you can't go there, and you can't get tickets at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, but you can get tickets by going online to www.radyjcc.com or to the Izzy Asper Jazz Performances.com. Either website will give you a ticket buying option, or you can call Debbie. 477-7534 and see if she can help you out. So
that's for any concert coming up, or if you want to get season subscription.
Are online as well.
Yeah, and it's very reasonable. I mean, 183 for 5 concerts is...
It's unbelievable. For this quality of performer, it's really phenomenal that we're able to provide this price. $183 for 5 concerts. That's amazing. They would be $80 a concert in New York for these guys.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. So get online and get your seats early. And if you want, check out the Ray Charles show this weekend. It's going to be it's just a fun swinging show. And I will hopefully be there. So, Bev, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And really excited to see this.
Me too.
This lineup,
Me too. I know. I get excited every time I produce one of these seasons.
I'm sure.
That's why I'm still doing it.
Yeah. And we'll do our part to get the word out there and get people out to these shows. Because honestly, I'm not just a jazz lover and a classical lover, just a music lover. And these are just great shows to support.
Yes,
so we want to keep it going.
Thank you.
All right. So speaking of one of the artists, Renee Marie, I'm going to play you a little tune featuring Renee Marie. This is her version of Let's Do It.